Greetings and salutations everyone, I'm Ekamak, and as usual this is Limbus Company. Kim's not having a nice day, is he? How many? So there's no extra backup enemies, we're just gonna kill them as is? Gotcha.
죄를 새겨주겠어. 순수히 보라를 받으시죠. 살을 베어내고 살을 베어내고 흉터의 결과요.
흐드러지며
Okay, you're just gonna assume that you'll be fine doing all that, so... There's one danger to this, and that's that we're only going to end up getting pride resources from all this. Which means that any ego that we need that's legit anything else isn't going to be picked up, which is a little bit concerning. Someone carrying a sword on his belt and a sack on his shoulder leaped into a haystack near us. A few moments later, a small squad of Shunokuns, torches in hand, rushed from the same direction the man had come from. We saw a criminal who coveted the kingdom's properties flee in this direction. Speak up if you've seen the wretch. Shunokuns began walking up to the civilians and questioning them about the criminal's whereabouts. Despite all having seen the man jump into the haystack, all of them shake their heads and refuse to give up the criminal. Are they hiding him for some reason? Soon the Shunokuns, having made their way through the crowd, approached us. What should we do? Point them in the wrong direction. Oh yeah, that's a very high chance of success here. Plus 10 for being Blade lineage. So he went that way, huh? Appreciate the assistance. Once the Shunokun hurried toward the direction that he pointed them towards, the man crawled out of the haystack. Seeing the Shunokuns had gone, some of the civilians walked up to the man and gave their thanks. Good work, you. Can't have those vile Shunokun take a noble thief like you away, thief of the people. They're all witches, I say. Wretches so well fed while we starve, I bet they'll bleed rice if we gut them. They returned their gratitude with a polite bow, then approached us. You have my thanks. I did not expect to be shielded by outsiders such as yourselves, but this is a welcome surprise. Who am I, you ask? Well, I have no name to give you, but it seems the common folk have taken to calling the like-minded the Blade lineage. I'm only stealing the sacrifice the corrupt officials have stolen, and returning them where they belong, just as mentor bamboo-headed Kim had once done. Kim squeaked out a small, embarrassed cough. I've lingered here too long, they're already on my trail again, it's about time I saw myself off. Even in a hurry, he bade us wait a few moments as he rummaged through his pack and produced a few packages of food. Take these, it's not much, but it should be quite filling for those on the road like yourselves. Gratitude and vengeance, after all, share a common quality. They're both debts to be repaid, eh? With that, he withdrew into the shadows. All allies heal for 50% of max HP and full SP. Wow, that's very generous.
길이 같으니 거들어주지.
"6 minutes in, we'll probably jump into the boss then." Okay, who could use the most assistance?
전부 잡아드리죠.
Oh, you know what? I think they actually halve resource gains. Or rather, they halve the resources you've gained, so you can't just sit there and farm your way up from nothing. Although you can't really do that with these two around, can you?
슬슬 돌아가기 싫다면
As long as you're having fun, right, Kim?
즐겁겠군!
Okay, thinking about it now, I really should have just been using Mersault's ego for every fight because we get so much pride and it only costs pride on the first use. There was really no point in waiting it out.
살을 베어내고
목을 내놓으시죠.
Alright, here we go. The Feathers.
그대, 이 검이 필요하오.
Like a prey backed against the cliff's edge, I am left bereft of paths. My hand hesitates with no room to place the stone. Misjudgments burgeon when contemplations harrow the mind indeed. Now all that remains is to neutralize that one enemy combatant in the yard. Tell me, who's waiting for us in there? You should know this place and its enemies are projections of your memories. Not the hardest guess to make, is it? I expect to find Gyoen-Eop in there. Gyoen-Eop was a woman of loyalty and principles. Even as a military commissioner, she never stopped wanting to change the way the royal court was. But even she must have broken in the end. I scoured the newspaper and TV for anything I could find on the current state of Escor, but it was plain as day, nothing had changed there since my departure. Mentor, is that not just a baseless speculation? Your concerns grown uncontrollably? Never have you spoken to us about such a monstrous one in the past. Thus, what lies before you is but a figment of the distortion reflecting upon your memories. Did this Gyoen-Eop appear as that monster does, Mentor? No. Gyoen-Eop wasn't like that. Gyoen-Eop, I still believe that Salpipio Agro Industries deserves to die. But destruction's not the point. The point is, I want it to be a place where I can cut away the avaricious corrupted, and have it be a wing that cares for its common folk. If I didn't know better, I would have thought you were seeking to supplant the current Escor. You know that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just a wanderer, floating down the river's flow to where the currents take them. When the river bent and I hit a wall, someone picked me up and made a blade out of me once. Once abandoned, I returned to the flow and found myself a mentor to those who afforded me the undeserved faith. And the river continues to wind, carrying me back to Escor, whence I had fled. Shall I let the blade sing my inner thoughts? You think I'm satisfied with the way Escor is? Well, your method, as it is now, goes against the principles. I expected better from someone of your wiles. If you enjoy those principles so much, why ask me to leave the game? Because someone has to stay behind and try to bring change within the limits of their principles. I only hoped that one of those bends in that river of yours would float you back to knock on the gates of Escor once it was primed for change. Has that changed? What do you think? You at least seem to think that I have. Because you believe that I shall stand in your path. Stand in my path. And stem the flow of this river evermore. Very well. The law states that denial of the will of the royal court is a crime deserving of death by beheading. I, Gyoen-Eop, Second Ordinance of the South PPO Agro Industries, official of the sword and military commissioner to the Royal Court, shall uphold the command and sever the buds of rebellion before they propagate. I'm Gyoen-Eop. Yeah, that's the thing that she just said. Lose 3 swordplay of the homeland. Gain advantage at higher swordplay of the homeland. So we just need to clash this. Here's the problem. They both went after this coin. They went after this coin, which means that they aren't actually helping us with clashes. Bamboo-hatted Kim? He has a weakness to gluttony and lust. Weird.
망설임이 없도록.
망을 참아. 숨을 거둔다.
처음으로 숨통이 튀었던 순간을 기억하나요? 저는 지금군요.
Is he supposed to be me too? Look at himself say, I don't get a chance to read these. Okay, so we still... Is there something different this time? Gain or lose 2 swordplay based on battle form. So it's Bear Hunt. We want it to go down. slowest to fastest.
즐겁겠군.
순순히 보라를 받으시죠.
아름다운 것, 그렇지 않은 것.
Still in Bear Hunt. Gain from having higher stacks, so keep those stacks down. At least they're now clashing with things. I'm thinking about this. I want to try and spread the bleed around now. 5 bleed and 4 bleed count. Actually, do you have a passive for giving out? So she's probably using her bow now. At min or max homeland stacks, use a powerful skill. Use a powerful skill regardless of swordplay if this unit used the bow of the homeland. At 50% HP or lower, use a powerful skill regardless of the stack. This is new. The 3 court circles of Sao, Pi, and Pyo each remade the standard Zhuzhong Brigandine of escort into forms suited to their own doctrines. Olden tales say that the Sao has ever been the first to spearhead a slaughter, eager to carve the enemy's flesh before any other. The Pi harvests the blood that spills forth from each open flesh wound and turns it into endurance. The Pyo takes the close of the slaughter. They part one joint from the other, bringing the enemy to their knees, then a blade through the neck to finish the collective act of killing. Due to the expected difficulties in recording a voice log owing to the noise level in the surrounding area, and as the relative flow of emergency written permits, this observation log will be handwritten. The flash is followed by anomalous alterations to select entities or surroundings. The flash is always accompanied by a loud noise. The noise is a complete synthesis of various noises commonly associated with photography equipment. The rustle of winding film, the high-pitched whine of electricity charging the flash component, and the like. Altered entities usually exhibit anomalies akin to scrapbook-like collage of various print materials, such as newspapers or magazines. For humans, these anomalies were most commonly observed on the face. After a certain point, most altered entities began to exhibit identifying elements associated with District 19. Once the alteration and progress caused by the distortion were halted, they returned to pinframe staff members of Encore, Service de Clou. It does not appear that its main mode of interaction is spawning sub-entities or summoning their illusions, but overlaying certain appearances to entities already in the vicinity. Noticeable boosts to the overlaid entity's combat capabilities have been observed. The exact cause is unknown. Current working theory constructed by LCD on-site investigation reasoning team posits a high level of likelihood it is a location type distortion. Following that reasoning, it can be concluded that this case cannot be resolved simply by defeating altered entities. No further discoveries to be made. The observation log is concluded. The sword of the homeland passed down in the South Court is not, at its heart, the art of killing. To cut and cut again until blood runs dry and the bone is laid bare, that is the essence of this art that strips the opponent's flesh into ribbons. That is the sword of the homeland practiced by Sal. Those who persevere in training for lack of talent. Then there are those blessed with talent only to let it rust. All men say that the title of Apex Blade can only be seized by the gifted. It matters not. Until the day comes for this blade of mine to rise high enough to meet the clouds, I shall persevere in honing my prowess. When Clash lose, gain a head-splitting memory. But only once per turn? Current town Clash power up. +1 bind. Deal and take 20% damage on crit to and against from Beruhe to Hatikim. This flesh I claim. So she gains the head-splitting memory on the Clash lose, and then all her other clashes get stronger. That's important to know. Lose this encounter if this unit is killed. One may get lost and wander onto the wrong path, but willful defiance or deviation from the flow are forbidden by it.
즐겁겠군!
I forgot to check how close Mersault is to running out of his super mode. I really should have done that.
저 로신한테 꿈에 닿을 때까지 몇 번이고!
I think this gives her a lust weakness though.
필요 없다.
But it does give a very nice stack. Set the Pyong again across the bowstring. Oh yeah, that hurt a lot. We have one more drink to the Fallen stack at least. She's currently in battle form of Homeland Tiger Hunt. We want her to have low stacks, which she is currently at. -2 + 8. Develop memories. Gotcha. Gain advantage at lower stacks. Oh dear.
죄를 새겨주겠소.
달빛이 발사. 그 몸까지 발진난을 터.
저 로신한테 꿈에 닿을 때까지 몇 번이고!
돌아가기 싫.
We're only doing so well because of the very low sanity. If the sanity had been high, then that probably would have caused us a lot of problems.
색색이 황홀하고 아예 기억 못하게 하려는 길이구려.
Looks like things are in our favor. Let's keep it going. $236 to $356. 316 to 516.
망설임이 없도록.
Oh man, using that on a staggered boss is actually terrifying, or rather heavily destructive, because it inflicts slash resist down on everyone. Which means that the boss isn't going to get any bonus from the slash resist down, but we're going to get plenty of use out of it. Anyhow, she's not as powerful as I recall, yet weighed down by the brand. I'm not so far ahead or behind. I don't know, I think you're doing pretty well. Verily, they appear evenly matched, yet he's wielding that sword like he's trying to get himself killed. That blade work is far beneath him. Seeking the end here, is he? Can you afford to look away in a duel? What are you doing? You'd rather lock your sword with mine than parry it away? Can't have a proper sword fight without a blade lock though, huh? The duel between the mentor of a syndicate and a military commissioner of Escort is neck to neck. Clash after clash. The two warriors eventually lock their blades in a contest of might before it comes to a close in a final fatal bout. When the dust settles, the mentor lies dead in the sand, dead. If that is what you want, I shall grant it. Good. Let's finish this. Just as bamboo-headed Kim and Gyoen-Eop readied for their final bout, Ungdu leaped in between them. Ungdu? Are you really so ashamed that you would choose death over life, mentor? Are you so scared to live that you would rather die? Yes, I am. I am scared. I'm terrified of my own audacity to live my days as though I hadn't failed everything and everyone who had the misfortune of placing their faith in me. My mission, my honor, my fellows, as though my path isn't haunted by ghosts, as though I can stand shamelessly before watching the eyes of the heavens. What have I even done with the life that was given to me? Blind to the realities of my homeland, I served a master who chose politics over loyalty and justice. I cut down my very fellows who chose to trust a fool like me. I've walked my entire life as the flow carried me, and when I finally had the mind to look back, all I saw were blood-red traces everywhere I had gone. Isn't it about time I admitted this game cannot be one that... Mentor! The weakness in your strength has failed your mission. The weakness in your position has failed your honor. And the weakness in your heart has become the fiendish blade that cut down your fellows. Ungdu? I thought you were here to talk me into keep on living. Yet your words pain me so. What weakness of yours is it this time, that you would cast away your own creed and life? What other weakness will you use as an excuse today? Stop trying to bear responsibilities asked not of you. The Blade lineage was never about responsibility, nor was it about you, mentor. Or does your overbearing guilt help you overestimate your importance? What was that saying again? Fellow travelers in the same boat will aid one another. Not a single soul demanded that of you. Talk about kicking a man when he's down. And I have had enough of that flippant larking of yours. We all have. Do you truly believe that not a single one of us had picked up on the fact that all your levity was a means of relieving yourself of the burden you had cast upon your own shoulders? None of us ever demanded some impossible feat from you. What was it that you've always said to describe yourself? That you are but a butchering blade that wields not itself, a tool wielded by willing hands. Why, mentor? I know not what kind of shame or responsibilities a mere tool has, do you? Because I fail to see any. If the shame does not subside still, then shroud your face with that bamboo hat of yours and live on. Live on, so you may repay your debts. Out of blades, out of arrows. Even the heart that sought death lies defeated at your feet. There is no stone left for my next gambit. There is nothing more. Indeed, perhaps there was some merit in your words. Then I must retreat from this silly game of stones and become a fiend of blades. Mentor? That is not what I said. Interesting. Whence did you hear that poem? Yes, when inverted, a bamboo hat is unlike an unladen ship. I think I heard Carmen's bell. Hangdu and Gyoen-Eop were knocked away from bamboo-hatted Kim, as though bounced off by an invisible force. Kim raises his gaze to meet the empty air, as though someone were there, a hollow laughter escaping his lips. We know who he's talking to! It's the voice! Well, your last move was not a good one. Indeed, I did wish to become a blade, but what did you do? Forged me into an indiscriminate one that cleaves blindly into friend and foe both. It seems that in your excitement, you've cornered yourself with that last move. Well, as it seems that I have had an opportunity to retrace our past moves, allow me to try something different this time. Be not so vexed by this round. As you say, we never know what the next game shall bring. I appreciate and will treasure the other bits of your advice. But let us play by my rules for tonight's game. Something's different this time, innit? He ain't distorting. I think that's an efflorescence, perhaps. Nothing is for certain indeed. Yet I trust that the words of my last remaining follower have also reached your ears. I am but a tool wielded by willing hands. Nothing in my life has ever been certain. I know not whether this move is what cements my defeat, but I desire it to be a victorious stone nonetheless. Thank you, I will take what encouragement I can. The strange invisible pressure dissipates, and the armored woman, Gyoen-Eop, readjusts her grip on the sword. Kim turned around to look at her and saw that a weighty shadow seemed to have been lifted from his face, replaced by a mix of relief and determination. A bit embarrassing to change my stance now, but now I fight to live. And I suppose you will be okay with that? Of course. To hide from heaven's gaze this hat I wore. An empty boat, it bore my friends along. In bamboo veiled, we drift from shore to shore. With wine, I don my hat to watch blooms throng. In mirth, I doff that shroud to moon adore. So with this bamboo hat to veil my brow, though winds and rain may rage, I shall not throw. Hi to me, bamboo-hatted one. Speak your name, for I find your outfit dubious of character. I am he who has mentored the lineage of blades to its premature end. I am he who sought to bring salvation to the downtrodden, to no avail. What to call a man who has failed to disburden himself of the world? How to name a man who has failed to bear the weight of the world? There is none. So call me Bamboo-Hatted Kim. Bamboo-Hatted Kim, the treasonous wretch. Victory! The photographs rapidly fold away from reality. Perhaps because Kim had successfully managed to face his own past. When the photographs and memories that were overlaid upon the fathoms are pulled away, what remains is a man in dirty, ragged clothing. The fathoms of Escor slowly lose grip on this world. I need to end episode. Darn it. Sorry, catch you in a bit.